It's Monday Kwawala, governor of Edo State, there with his independence broadcast. But before then, we listen to President Bola Tinubu speak about the achievements of Nigeria so far and what to expect in the coming days. To analyze this speech, we have in the studio host and columnist Sam Omatseye. We call him Super Sam. We also have the Ogun State NPP chairman, Barrister Femi Aina. Gentlemen, you're welcome.
Thank you.
And this
Happy Independence
Happy Independence Day to you too. This is the longest, I'm talking to you, Super Sam, the longest speech I've ever heard Mr. President make. How does that resonate with you?
Well, I think what he did here was not only to tell us the history of our country, but also to give us the architecture of the Nigerian mind over the years. And to say that we had a period of optimism at one time in our history, when he talked about really how many schools we had at independence and what we have today. Sometimes we have historical atrophy. We forget that there are some things that actually happened, and because we see them all the time, we take them for granted. But it was more or less pivoting on what he has done. It was a report card saying that, let us cut all the noise. This is what I met on the ground, in case you forgot. This is where we are. This is what I have done. And if you doubt it, these are the figures. These are the evidence of what I have done. When he reeled out all the things that he has done in terms of putting the economy straight and so on. Well, what he didn't say, although he said it, he said part of it. He said when he took over, we were paying 97% of what we had just to keep ourselves alive.
Afloat, yeah.
They did not even mention that the ways and means was 30 trillion. So that's why Soludo said the government met Nigeria as a dead horse standing. That was the kind of economy we met. And sometimes we tend to forget all of that. So he was telling us how far from the deep end of the ocean it brought the country to where we are. In other words, Venezuela and Sri Lanka were all hovering over us like this bird that is over that looking at the carcass. Vulture, like a vulture over our heads and so on. But he wanted to do like the character in Joseph Conrad's novel Nostromo, where the character was lying on the ground and a vulture was hovering around thinking that he was dead. Then he woke up and said, I'm not dead yet. So that's the kind of thing he was trying to spread that, no, we are not dead yet. We are back. We are revenant. You know what revenant is? Like coming back from the dead.
Absolutely, like a phoenix.
Yes.
Right. So let's get down to brass tacks, Barrister Femi. If you look at the president, as Etoma said, quite a long speech, but then very, very detailed. Trying to give an account of his stewardship. But if you look at what the president said regarding the economic reforms, which of course Nigerians are largely interested in, he insisted that subsidy removal and forex reforms are already yielding results. Gave number on GDP growth, falling inflation, stronger reserves. But the questions Nigerians will be asking, or probably one question is, okay, I'm hungry. How has this translated to food on the table? Even though some people are saying not all statistics will end up in your belly. There's some that come on the macro level.
Yes.
But how do you think this will resonate with Nigerians, especially those who are thinking of my kitchen, my wallet, and not just talking about numbers and papers?
Yeah, that's the issue. Because if you listen to the speech, it's more of a deja vu to me. Because if you read the president's speech in 2024, there are some of the paragraphs which he repeated here. And one thing that is clear and which we must acknowledge is this. What happened during independence? That's the first question we need to ask ourselves. That's a good opportunity for us to look at the past and then renew our commitment towards nation building during independence anniversary. This speech by the president lasted 30 minutes with 23 paragraphs.
Wow.
And I agree with Sam. It's more or less like a report card, back up with a number of statistics. And that is very, very important. And that might resonate with Nigeria. But there's one thing which is very unique about this president. If you listen to his speech, since he assumed office, that mantra, I feel your pain, is always there. And he acknowledged that. He used the word food on the table. He used the word, we know you are facing this, you are having all this problem. But the question Nigerians will be asking, we have listened to the statistics, we have listened to the president, we know you are showing empathy, we know you are going by the speech, but why is this not flowing down to the ordinary people on the streets of Nigeria? That is the question we need to ask. The president, look, when the president talk about the security, it is the same paragraph which he used in 2024 that he repeated today, that our security forces, they are working with money to eliminate Boko Haram, this and that. But the question remains, despite their best effort, how come we still have that ugly incident in Kwara State? How come Nigerians can't even go home and say, look, we feel very secure? What is happening? So let's seize this independence opportunity to go back to the drawing table and find out why all these efforts, they are not yielding meaningful fruit, and why Nigerians are still living on bread and water despite all the economic improvement as it has been illuminated by the president. And at the same time, we need to ask that why is it that despite all the statistics, despite all the report card, despite all the achievement, I'm not saying they are not doing something, but what they are doing, we want it to manifest on ordinary people on the streets of Lagos. Why do we have, I've said it here, that even in Nigeria, those who are working, there are people you can classify as working poor because the money is not even enough. And at the same time, if you see what people are doing to supplement their income, you will be surprised. Even if you are driving on the street of Lagos and you are negotiating a runabout, you will see last mile officers greeting you with this unusual enthusiasm. Oh, hello, 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 hello. It's just because, look, that's the reality of it. If you go into any of these hotels, there's one particular hotel I used to chill out. You will be surprised. When I'm coming out of the gate, there's this security officer, the way we carry out the salute, you will think I'm a field marshal.
But that has been sometimes we talk about hunger. See, hunger just started 2 years ago, and people, police officers just started saying all clear 2 years ago, almost as if there was no hunger until Tinubu became president. There was no inflation until Tinubu became president. There was no problem with paying school until Tinubu became president. It's almost as if, just throw him there and all the problems must be thrown at him. We have to put this thing in context.
Yes.
There was an error I saw an error in the speech when it was somebody wrote it there and said rising cost of living. Cost of living is not rising.
That's right.
It's not rising. 2023, it was rising.
Okay.
Today, it's not rising. Inflation has come down. Nobody can say that the amount of money I spent to buy a bag of rice in 2023 is what I used to buy a bag of rice today. So we have to be realistic about the facts that bag of rice at one time was about 100,000 naira per bag. Today, I understand it's around 60 or between 50 and 60
Okay.
So if we say that it is not speculating, it's because we are not actually saying facts to ourselves. I've seen surveys done even by TVC in parts of the country. Like I saw one recently in Benue, where we were talking about the cost of beans going down, the cost of tomato, onion going down. We have to be realistic to ourselves that we don't always have to follow the mantra that some people just carry about that. No, this is not the situation.
Yeah.
Are things hard? Yes.
Yes.
Have things always been hard? Since I was born in Nigeria, things have always been hard. Every government has always made things difficult in the eyes of people in Nigeria.
Yeah.
So it is not today that we are saying it. Now, you're talking about what I think the government also has to do a lot of work. I mean, all the people that have benefited from the credit corp, from NEL fund, from the what do you call it? From the social development. For those who are receiving 25,000, there need to be more visibility to these faces.
Oh, yeah.
So you don't just chop and clean mouth. You know, Nigerians are very good at doing that. They chop and clean mouth. And then everybody is talking, you won't talk. You
wouldn't want your neighbor to know that you just got
your own.
25 before the person
we have
gives you
to fact. And the point you said the speech was like a recap of what he said in 2024.
Referring to security.
When he said, no, I'll come to security. When he said that they were spending 97. At that time, it was not less than 50%. So it's not a recap of that. It was about 70% or so, if I recall, that they had come down the cost of governance to that 70% at that time. Okay. Now it's less than 50%. Yeah. The reserve is what? It's about 42 billion plus.
That's right.
Okay.
From less than 4 billion when it took over. Less than 4 billion. We were discussing the naira to the exchange rate. Yeah. Some people were even applauding it. It was going to 2,000. We're in this country when people were saying it.
That's right.
There was going to be up to 2,000. They were applauding it so that the government can collapse. Now that it is less than 1,500, by the last time I checked, I'm not hearing people saying he has done something. Because when it's less than 500, what does that mean? It means that inflation goes down and the capacity to do business internationally is enhanced, and it will make businesses more workable. Now, when you do things, when you are doing reforms don't transform societies, automatically.
It takes a while.
It takes a while.
All right. I want to take directly from the president's speech, because when I heard that part of the speech, I said, okay, this is nice. He said, I have a message for our young people. You are the future and the greatest asset of this blessed country. You must continue to dream big, innovate, and conquer more territories in various fields of science and so on. It is great that the administration recognizes the youth and sees them in the light that Mr. President has brought out in his speech. From the way he said it and everything, do you see more investments coming towards the youths? We've had some young men, a 23-year-old boy in Abuja that's creating drones and all that. The youths are doing a lot of it. Is this an endorsement of these feats that our Nigerian youths are achieving? And does it look as if government is going to invest lots more on the youth?
Yes, it's very important, because that's what the president seems to be saying. And also, don't forget, the youth are the future of this country. So we need to do something now. And if we don't, we are all going to put up with it. And don't forget, this president, I think that was in 2024 speech or so, or 23, when he said there's going to... One, the youth must also have something to look forward to and believe in their country. If they go to university and they don't have hope, they are going to get a job at the end of the day. That is something we need to think about too. So if you organize a national youth conference, or you said you are going to invest this, you are going to do, it's not going to happen, because if they don't believe in the country. So what you need to do is to let us try as much as possible. Let them have that hope. And now, you see, this president's speech is full of optimism. And I know optimism can make things happen. That's the way it's supposed to be. But the question we need to ask ourselves is this. Let us seize this opportunity of this 65th year's independence anniversary and ask ourselves that question. Are we progressing or retrogressing? And then I feel your pain. then how long is the pain going to continue? I'm not saying we only have to make a sacrifice.
He said it's going to be temporary.
Yeah, well, he's been saying that. You understand?
He said the pains that you feel is just the pain you feel when you say, just like you go into surgery and then recovery comes afterwards, which the president has emphasized several times that we're on the path to recovery. That's why he says Nigeria's turned the corner.
Yes, that is the optimism we are talking about, that we're on the path to recovery. He has been saying that as far back since his inaugural speech, since May 29, 2023, when he assumed office.
So what he said then was that subsidy is gone.
Yes.
And before then, he had made us understand that there's going to be pain, even before he won the president.
Yes, I know. But what I'm saying is that how long the pain is going to go for. You talk about going to the surgery. If you go into the surgery, and you will feel pain when you come out. But if the pain doesn't subsidize, what do? You go back. Sorry. Look,
there are different kinds of surgery. So if you want to use a medical metaphor, there's a 1 hour surgery. There's a 15-hour surgery. Yes. So it depends on what the situation is. If it is a heart bypass, then you know that you have
a long time.
You have a long time on that. So you have to understand. You have to understand it. Because if you go historically, I know what you're saying. If you go historically, when economies are in deep problems, you don't solve them in a year or two.
Yes.
Whether you look at the Great Depression during the time of FDR, you look at the recession of 1982, if you look at even the recent recession, that they call it the recession before that of Obama, you know, it was a long one. It took about 3-4 years before America turned the corner. And when it turned the corner, we are talking of an economy that was fundamentally sound. Our economy was a distorted rentier-based enterprise where everybody came to eat. It's just like when you are on the shore and a big hippo, comes on shore, and then everybody wants to take a part of it. Nobody's talking about how to get the hippo back or make it produce another baby. Everybody wants to take their part. Once they have had their fill and they have gone, then they will not say, what do we do? Just like this chapter in A Tale of Two Cities by Charles Dickens, where the whole city got a drink. They all were happy. They were drinking. Everybody was happy, and they were all high. And once the whole thing cleared out, I said, now I have to walk. So economies and recovery depends on how much distortions. Yeah. They are talking of an economy where you were borrowing not to collapse. That is what we were. 30 trillion is not much. Yeah. Now you get all of that. Then our oil, we were mortgaging our oil revenues to the future. So we didn't have money that we were picking and spending. It's like when you are owing somebody, you are owing this, you are owing everybody. Yeah. So any money you borrow it to any fruit you make, you are saying need to pay the ones that you are you have been owing for the past 4 years. So that was where we were. So it is a deep. I don't want to use that word people use in in vulgar conversations.
Right.
But we're in a deep problem.
Absolutely. We're actually coasting home because of our time, and I want us to look at when unjust has been done, people talk about reparations. When there had been problems, people talk about solutions. Now, Nigeria is 65 today, and every other person will agree that 65 is an adult. And then there's a whole lot of achievement that you're expected to have attained at the time. That reminds me of what this great writer Ali Mazrui in Kenya says, that the future, we should not work for the future of our children, but the future of our children's children, which the president echoed in his speech. If you have to pick one bold decision, what do you think that Nigeria can do in the next 5 years, so much so that, yes, we know that, yes, we have actually achieved, our goals at the end of the day?
Well, I think the president alluded to that. We need to try as much as possible to improve the quality of life. That's one significant point. If you don't do it, we are all going to put up with it. Today is Independence Day. Family are supposed to be at home, for the head of the family telling their children about this country, the Independence Day where I was. But they are not at home. They are at the filling station looking for fuel all over the place. And we are all producing country because the major players in that in that industry, they are engaging in a power game. Then you ask yourself, what are we celebrating? I'm not saying we can't say we are 65, we are this. But it is an opportunity to look back and then see, look, is this the way this is going to continue? Or we need to change our way of life?
It's interesting that you mentioned people who are having a battle of ego, talk about, because you're alluding to Lepeng and Dangote. Should we have those kind of people holding Nigeria by the jugular? And now laying the blames on the table of, let's say, the number one citizen of the country.
Well, at the end, yes, we should.
Isn't that a problem?
No, don't forget. No, where does the buck stop?
Well, that's why the National Security Advisor has stepped in.
Yes, I agree.
That's why. The responsibility always should go to the number one citizen.
Yes.
There's no doubt about that. But the point is, the question is to say, has it taken a step to do it? And then, according to the report today, the National Security Advisor has stepped in. Because it is a fundamental issue.
Sorry, Sam, I don't want to. I'm trying my best possible not to interrupt you. That's not the way to go. You understand me? This problem is a recurring problem. Pegasus has been there since time immemorial. All this conflict in that industry. The question we need to ask ourselves is this: how come we don't have Plan B? Look, I will tell you something. When Tony Blair was the Prime Minister, the oil tankers in the United Kingdom said they are going to go on a strike. Then the night before, there was a queue at various filling stations. But the government had Plan B, that the military and the police, they are going to deliver petroleum product to all the filling stations, and nobody can stop them. So you see why they are still negotiating with them. That Plan B is there. These people, what sort of system allow this? Whereby, okay, you have a private person coming into that industry, then you have this cabal saying, look, you can't do this, you can't do that. I'm not saying there shouldn't be labor, we shouldn't uphold labor rights, but whatever is going to cripple the economy, that is something we need to take a proactive approach. And what the government used to do, successive government, whether it's ASU or Pegasus or Nigeria Labour Congress, is for the minister to come out and say, look, we are going to have a meeting. But where's your Plan B? That, okay, if that doesn't yield fruit, what are we going to do so that Nigerians are not suffering?
All right. Well, we're not reached the stage of Plan B yet, because if it's time for Plan B come, then you can ask that question. Okay. They are still trying to resolve the issue first. Between them, I think you're talking about Tony Blair's situation. It's a more vast. And I know we have a report going on the two refineries. We want to find out how we can get those things.
Okay, we have just 2 minutes. Yes. And I'm going to be very fair to both of you. You'll take 1 minute. He'll take 1 minute. All right, your last words on the speech.
The speech was a call to service and a call to understanding, and also was a historical context of where we were and where we have been. And I think he has done a good job of saying, this is what I have done, and let us move forward.
Let's build from there.
Yes. Look, I must thank the president for giving us the report. At least I'm well informed on certain issues now. That is one thing aspect about the speech which we must acknowledge. And I acknowledge the president for at least acknowledging the fact that things are not yet all right. And for raising our aspiration that we should be full of hope, that there's going to be full recovery, and we are all going to enjoy the dividends of democracy. Whether that will happen or not, time will tell.
But
all hands on deck. Well, and that's the theme of the whole celebration. I want to thank you very much. The worst is over. Yeah. Let's thank you, Mr. Femi Aina, for being with us. And Super Sam, thank you very much for your insights on this analysis I'll also thank you for being there. All right, we will now link up with Eshomo Moimodo and TJ Swadeyo in our Abuja studio to